Hello. You know me, I gotta check in over on Facebook and make sure that it's actually streaming through correctly. How are you guys today? Oh my gosh, please pardon the chaos behind me. I've got dog toys and bins and bags and just all sorts of galore of stuff back there because I took some time this weekend to just enjoy life, which ended up being a super fun day of paddleboarding with my husband. Have you guys ever gone paddleboarding? It's like so fun. It's my new favorite hobby. Like so much so, in fact, that we bought paddleboards and I'm taking my boys out Friday as long as the weather holds up. And my oldest is going to get to paddleboard on his own. And my youngest will sit on my board with me because he's just a little too small still to be able to control the paddle. But anyways, that was a really random bit of information. And then on Sunday, I painted. So I did not clean my office, which is normally one of my close the week out tasks. And I did not do it this week. So you guys get all the chaos that has ensued. All right. We are talking about the lovely time blocking today. Okay. And it looks like I'm live. So I think we are good. Oh my gosh. So let me give you guys a little bit of backstory about time blocking. I am a recovering multitasker. I was that person that if you had told me that you can't multitask, I would have been like, yeah, you can. I do it all the time. And then as I got wiser, we won't say older, but as I got wiser, I started to realize that my multitasking was not as productive as I thought it was. And started to realize, sorry, just turning my phone down because I'm getting some interruptions here. Started to realize that my multitasking was not as brilliant as I thought it was. And then somebody introduced me to this fabulous concept of time blocking. And I'm like, what is this? Tell me all the details, all the goods. I want to know what this is. And a couple of years ago, implemented it and it was phenomenal. I loved it. It was absolutely amazing. And then, the year of 2020 and all its craziness hit and time blocking just went completely out the freaking window for me. Like not even a blip on the radar. It was just like gone. It was just like, do what I can do. Let's just get it all done. So I've recently brought it back and it's been phenomenal. Like I feel like life is just more organized when I do time blocking. So I think most of you know, but let's just do a really, really quick review of what is time blocking. So time blocking is defining your priorities, marking them in your calendar, allocating specific time periods to them, and you only work on them during these preset time periods. Sounds simple, but scary, right? Drop a 1 in the comments if I said that and you instantly just like cringed because you're like, my schedule doesn't flow that way ever. Because that was me. That was my biggest block with time blocking. That was the biggest struggle I had. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my lighting here. Life is great, but my technology's not cooperating. Okay, that's better. But that was me. I was like, my life doesn't flow this way. Like, how do I time block when, I've got kids and at any point in time, and we'll see if it happens while I'm on here live. My youngest is going to come through the door and be like, Mom, can I buy? Mom, can you get me? Mom, can I? And then my oldest is going to come in and be like, Mom, he's driving me nuts. Mom, I can't do this. Like, there's obviously things that we have no control over. So time blocking, I fought it for the longest time because I was like, there's no way it's going to work for me. My schedule doesn't work this way, like at all. And then I started to talk to somebody and I'm like, oh, okay. So time blocking doesn't have to be very black and white. It can be black and white with some gray areas. And so I've built my time block schedule in knowing that I need some buffer time. I need some interruption time built in. So I plan when I time block, like I know if I've got something that I know should take me about 2 hours, I typically build in 2.5 because I'm going to build in time to allow for interruptions, to allow for the what ifs, for the unpredictable things. And so I've done that here. So now that we've talked about what is time blocking, I want to talk about batching things together because this was like, when somebody first told me this, I'm like, you're speaking Mandarin. I have no clue what you're talking about. But then I started to realize, because to me, like batching it together meant like, oh, I can work on this client all for this next hour, and I can do taxes and bookkeeping and payroll, and I can do all of the things for this client for the next hour. And then I can jump over here to this client. And so I was batching by clients rather than by type of work. Now I've shifted. So I'm referencing my accounting business. Most of you know I have multiple businesses, but I'm referencing the accounting business today for purposes of this. And then I'll kind of correlate how I've managed to do this with my network marketing business as well. But so for the accounting side of things, I realized like, oh, if I block out a chunk of time just to work on bookkeeping tasks for multiple clients rather than just one, like I'm way more productive because I stay in the bookkeeping vibe. I stay in that zone. I stay in that flow, that mindset. And so I'm super productive. And then I'm like, okay, and then I'm going to block off times where all I do is work on tax return preparation because then I'm in the flow. I'm in the groove of that. Like it just starts flowing a lot smoother. I block out time to deal with IRS calls. Oh, it didn't come in. I'm shocked. I block out time for IRS calls so I can do those uninterrupted from other distractions. And so, see, there he is. There he is. Where's my finger? Yep. Told you he'd come in sometime during the video. I told him that you always come in and interrupt me. That you're my biggest, sweetest distraction. Love you. Bye. Sorry. I'm like a hot mess squirrel today, guys. I apologize. So I started batching out tasks like that. And so if we're talking for your network marketing business, maybe you can batch out follow-ups at a certain time of the day. Maybe you can batch out like what are the things that you don't need to do every single day, but you do need to do like once a month, like writing thank you cards or customer service or follow up from people that you haven't talked to in a month or so. Like what are those types of things that maybe you could batch out an entire day every month and say, okay, this is going to be my customer service day. Like I'm going to do thank you cards, birthday cards, whatever that looks like for you. Like what is that day? Can you batch all of that into a day? And so that way you're not piecemealing that together throughout the month. Same concept with your new prospective customer reach outs. Can you put all of those down? Okay, I'm going to do all of these during this hour and a half every day, or 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever that looks like for you. We're all building our businesses different. We are all building around something else, whether that is life, another business, full-time job, whatever that is, but we're all doing this our own way. So what does that look like for you and how can you batch these things in? I struggled for the longest time being able to marry the two of my businesses, being able to be like, how do I have an accounting business over here and a network marketing business over here and make them both successful without feeling like I need to pull my hair out and run away in giant circles because, oh, how sweet. He's closing the door because he's going to be loud. And running around in giant circles, feeling like I'm never accomplishing anything because I'm constantly bouncing back and forth, left to right, forward, back, up, down, north, south, east, west, all of the things. So take a look and figure out what types of things can you batch together? What makes sense to all be done at the same time versus like that doesn't fit together and it completely puts me in a different frame of mind. And so I'm going to shift it somewhere else. Then anticipate the time that's needed. Again, like I said, I build in a little bit of buffer time on mine because I know that I am bound to have interruptions. I am bound to have something come up that pulls my attention away for a moment or two. Now, I'm getting better. I wouldn't say I'm great at it, but I am getting better about being able to say, okay, like on my bookkeeping day, like I'm going to there's going to be a 4-hour window that my cell phone is going to get turned off or turned on silent. It's not going to be in here, so I'm not hearing it buzz. I turn my Apple Watch on to mute so that it's not disturbing me either, because all those things, they're distracting and they pull our attention away. So there's certain things that I do that I batch, and I know that I'm going to completely unplug at that point. I'm not going to have Facebook up. I'm not going to have my email open. I'm not going to have my phone nearby. I'm not going to have my watch pinging me for notifications. I'm going to do all that stuff. Speaking of notifications, just so you know, I've actually recently, part of my time blocking adjustment to getting back into it is I've turned off a lot of notifications on my phone. So I don't get Facebook notifications. I don't get Instagram notifications. I don't get TikTok notifications. I don't get email notifications. Like I don't get any of that. And oh my gosh, life is so much nicer without it. But anyways, back on, again, I'm a hot mess squirrel today. Sorry. I'm just like, my brain's like rapid fire today. So do you need a few hours or do you need a dedicated day? Is there things that you can batch into saying like, okay, I'm going to have one customer service push day where I'm going to do all the things for all the people that need to be dealt with on that day. And I'm going to do that once every 2 weeks or once a month. And then I'm going to build in a little bit of follow-up time. Sorry, I've got flies. I love summer, but I hate the bugs. Then, okay, what are the things that I need to do every day? So what are your IPAs? What are you doing? What's your DMO? What are you doing? What are those things that you need to actually be focusing on every single day? So if part of your DMO is that you're going to post on social media, you're going to send out some messages, you're going to do birthday messages, you're going to comment and like, can you batch all of that into an hour? Will that work for you? Or does it work better for you to take 4 15-minute segments throughout the day and do that? What works best for you? Because this is the thing with time blocking. I can tell you what I do. I can tell you what coaches have taught me. I can tell you about trainings I've done, but I'll tell you when I finally took a look at it and said, okay, what is going to work for me? What feels good for me that I can get on board with and I'm not going to fight the whole way? That's when it finally started working for me. So I started for the longest time and I'm like, I need a monthly flow. Like I just need every month to look the exact same. And I quickly realized that didn't work for me. Because, for example, there's summer months, there's winter months, there's tax season months, there's non-tax season months, there's months where we're vacationing, there's all sorts of things. And so a monthly flow didn't work for me. But when I condensed that down, I was like, okay, can I do a weekly flow? Like, can each week, for the most part, be pretty similar? That's when it finally started working for me. I know the coach that I have worked intensely with around figuring out this whole time blocking and that piece of that struggle for me. She does hers in 2-week cycles. So she's like, I will time block for the next 2 weeks. And then the 2 weeks after that might look completely different. But she is in a 2-week cycle where she knows at the start of every 2 weeks. So like what she does specifically is she goes through. So let's say that she's planning out the next 2 weeks. She would plan out the next 2 weeks yesterday on Monday. And then, so that would plan out for next week and the following week. And then 2 weeks away from when she planned that, she'd plan out the next 2 weeks. And so you can only get on her calendar a couple weeks in advance. For me, that didn't work, but for her, it's great. And so just know you can have a weekly flow, a monthly flow, you can have daily flows. It can look completely different from a Monday to a Tuesday to a Wednesday. And that can look completely different next week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever that looks like for you, but you've just got to figure out how it's going to flow for you. So what about life interruptions? I want to jump in here because I know we had a couple questions on this. So let me just take a look here. Yes, so Kelly says that she struggles with finding a good flow and overcoming interruptions. And again, I do as well. So I've kind of built that in. Like I've had to almost train my kids, not that they're dogs, but I've had to teach my kids and help them to understand that like when I'm working, I'm working. And if my door is shut, that means that I can't have interruptions at that moment. Now, I also over here to the side of me have a marker board. And so I've gotten my kids used to, if they come in and they walk in the office and I don't turn around to acknowledge that they're here, they write what they need on the marker board unless it's an emergency. They know if it's an emergency, they can interrupt me. But if it's not an emergency that must be dealt with right this second, then they put it on the marker board. And then at the end of the day, we take a look at the marker board and we address all their questions that came up throughout the day. This is a great way that I've figured out to not have them constantly interrupting me for questions. And it's a way that makes them feel like they're still going to be heard and get the time that they need. So again, I've already told you with the phone, sometimes I will literally just walk it out and go put it in my bedroom, turn my phone or my watch notifications off and just step away. I make sure Facebook is shut down. I make sure my email is shut down so I can't see any of it and be distracted. It really helps me when I'm doing time blocking, if I'm doing something that requires me to just truly be in the flow. I found that it also really works sometimes to put on music, depending on what I'm working on. Sometimes that's classical music. Sometimes that's country music. Sometimes that's old school rap. Like, depends on my mood, what music I'm going to play. But that can sometimes help me keep help keep me in my flow. And so I have specific playlists that are like, I have playlists on my Spotify that are like a 2-hour long playlist, a 3-hour long playlist, a 4-hour long playlist. And so I just tell myself, I'm like, okay, I'm going to block out this for the next 4 hours. And I start that playlist and I'm like, until this music ends, I'm not done. So building that piece around life interruptions, that was a great question, Kelly. Let me see. Brenda, I do great with blocking time on my calendar for the various things and then proceed to totally ignore my plan and get too distracted by all the other things going on. Amen, sister. I'm right there with you. That is so me. That was so me. I'm working on it. It's a shift. And so I've found the best advice I can give there, which may not be the best advice in the world on it, but the best advice that I have for you on that particular one is, so for example, like I told you that I've blocked off an entire day for bookkeeping and that's all I work on those days. That is, I make sure, and I've just started to communicate with people. I'm like, hey, I need this to finish your books, but I'm not touching that again until here. So please make sure you have it to me here. And so you have to, it's a boundary thing, not only with you, but also with the other people that have the ability to interrupt your calendar. So for example, like my husband knows that there's one day of the week between a certain time that like, if he reaches out, I'm not even gonna have my phone on me. So if it's an emergency, he knows to call the office because that's how he's going to get through to me, because I won't answer that phone, but my assistant will. And then she'll get up in touch with me through one of the other channels that we have. But sometimes you just have to shut off the outside world and just really block it. And you have to set that boundary with yourself of, okay, this is not the time for this. This time is tomorrow at 2:00. So I'm just going to add this to the calendar at 2:00. It's a cycle. It's a shift. It's going to take some adjusting to get there, but it's worked wonders for me. And so I'd love to hear in the comments from you if that is something, if this is like a completely new concept for you, or if you've done this, if you have any tips or tricks that I may not have shared, I'd love to hear what those are. In the meantime, everybody have a great Tuesday. We do have a guest trainer next week by popular demand and request. We have somebody coming in to talk about Pinterest for growing your network marketing business. So I'm super excited about that. And I will see you guys live for that next week. Bye, guys.